Hey everybody, this is going to be a review on a 2006 Suzuki Katana 600. Now, I have looked on YouTube for reviews on this motorcycle and they're very hard to find. I only found one which was only about a minute and 30 seconds, and it was, I think, a guy from the UK, and he was just talking a little bit about it. It was a good review, but in a minute and 30 seconds you can't really give a lot of information. So I did a review on this motorcycle. You can look for it on YouTube. It's called Suzuki Katana Review, but it's only one review, and it sort of gets lost in the crowd of all the other videos. So I wanted to do several reviews on what I think is a wonderful, reliable motorcycle, the Suzuki Katana 600. So what we're going to do is, I'm not just going to do the review in the parking lot. I'm going to put this camera in the helmet in front of my mouth. It's a very small camera, and we're going to get on the streets and the freeway, and I'm going to show you how it rides. It's pretty fun. Now, this Suzuki Katana is basically all stock except for the D&D exhaust. I'll let you hear that in a moment, and the frame sliders. First thing that I would bring to your attention is this is a carbureted motorcycle. It's not fuel injected. So what you get with this is when you turn it on, and let's walk over to this side and show you. What'll happen is when you turn it on with the starter here, you will move this lever. Let me just do it right now, like about right here. You wait for the bike to warm up. This basically affects the carburetors here, the choke. This is the choke. And then you move it back this way once the bike is warmed up. Takes about, gosh, only a minute out here in California. Sometimes they don't even need to use it on the very hot days. But for the cold days, you have that. So it's not fuel injected. It's carbureted. And then this is the 600 version. I believe this comes in a 750 and also 1100, I think. So 600, I want to do a review on the 600, want to do a review on this particular size displacement motor, because I've always told people that a 600 is fine for the freeways. It has ample enough power. So let's go through some of these gauges, what they are. There's a kill switch if you need to stop the bike in emergency, something like that. Hazard light starter. Over here on the right, which is interesting because most bikes I've ridden do not have this. This is a fuel gauge with actual needle, full, empty, etc. You have a clock. This is the tachometer, so you're going to be watching that rev up as we get on the freeway. And then the speedometer here. What's interesting about the Katana also is it has this little lever here. So notice the arrow now is pointing to on. And then if you start to run out of gas and you forgot to gas up or whatever, what I like is you just turn it this way, make that arrow go up to reserve, and you will have a reserve there where you can get to a gas station. Of course, you got the gear shifter here, and you've got the clutch here. Let's mosey on over to the front. I remember when I was in school, one of my friends came in with a motorcycle magazine when the Katanas first came out with this body style, and I liked it. It's like a alien type headlights, you know, look like alien eyes. I kind of liked it. And then I liked that, notice there's not really any sharp edges. It's very smooth and aerodynamic. I really like that a lot. Now, the seat is extremely comfortable. This would be a great bike for long distance riding. I mean, really, really comfortable, which is why I got this bike, because I mostly go on the freeways in my commutes. And it's very hot today in California, so let's talk about something very important. This is not a liquid-cooled bike. This is what's really interesting. Some people think that's really good. Some people think, oh, it's bad. I think it's good, and I'll tell you why. This is just oil-cooled and liquid cooled. It's got like a big, you know, oil cooler there, and liquid cool, not liquid cooled, air cooled, I should say. So it's not liquid cooled, just oil and air, right? So this reminds me of like the Volkswagen Bugs. Remember the Volkswagen Super Beetles? And that's why they were so reliable, because if you have a cooling system on a car or motorcycle and the cooling system goes out, you could really damage your motorcycle. But what they've done is they've designed this motor around the fact that there is no liquid cooling system. All you got is the oil and air going into it. So this is why you see these bikes real old, like I've seen 1980s. I think that's like when they first came out, and you still see some of those. Another good thing that I like, which is one of my favorite things, this bike is so inexpensive. You can get it, like in California, which you tend to have to pay higher for things out here in California, you can get a good quality used one for like $2 grand. And for a reliable motorcycle that should last you years and years to come if you take care of it, this is a blast to ride. Now, one more thing, and then we're going to get on the freeway, okay? This is a very heavy bike compared to other bikes. So if you're looking for something just to be a street riding bike up and down the streets, back and forth, you know, or something to take in the twisties up in the mountains, this is not the bike that I would choose. But if you are more like a true rider, I call it a true rider, someone that rides to work and back, to school, to your class, to your family members, friends, etc., and you go long distance maybe on the freeway, this is the perfect motorcycle for you. I like everything about it. I rate it 5 out of 5 stars in everything. So let's start the motorcycle. What we're going to do is I'm going to put the camera in the helmet. We're going to get on the streets, and then we're going to get on the freeway. Now, what we're going to do, which is like a custom with motorcycle riders, we're going to start up the motorcycle, and I'm going to let you hear the D&D exhaust. So here goes. What you do, see, well, let me come around this way, it's easier. What you do is you pull the clutch lever in. My finger slipped. You pull the clutch lever in, and then you hold your finger here without it slipping like mine did. So let's let you hear this. This is the only thing that's really not stock on the bike, that and the frame sliders. This is D&D from good old Fort Worth, Texas. And let's hear this, and then we'll get on the freeway. And we're getting on the right side. Now, I got my kickstand right here. As you know, you always want to put your kickstand up. All right, you ready? So I'll be doing a little review here, and then we'll ride on the freeway just for a while, and then we'll end it. Don't forget to click below this video and go to shotgunnow.net and enter our 24-hour chat room. Lots of free games there for you, software, free audiobooks, which is something I'm really into lately. You could read free, well, not even read, you just listen to them on your MP3 player. Now, the shifting is very smooth shifting. It's not like where it's more clunky like I've had on some bikes. All right, we're going to get on the freeway here. You know how I mentioned the bike was a heavier bike? That adds a lot to the comfort level. You don't feel like every little bump and dip and stuff like that. And then if you are, this is a very important part of this review, if you are in an area that gets extremely strong winds, this is a perfect motorcycle for you because it's heavy. It's heavy, yet it's aerodynamic, as you saw. So it cuts through the wind. You're going to notice when I get on the freeway, the seating position, the way it is, we don't get much wind. You'll be able to hear me no problem. And we're almost to the freeway. 3 more lights and we're on the freeway. Braking is excellent. These motorcycles are known for their good brakes. Now, if you're into going in the twisties, and hold on a sec, speaking of brakes, downshifting, watch the crosswalk. See how I could, even though it's a big old hunkin' heavy bike, I can stop. Now, hopefully that guy behind me could stop. I saw him flying up. But even though it's a very heavy bike, it's got great stopping power. And when I say it's a heavy bike, you know, I'm saying that based on my experience. If you guys have ridden Harleys and everything, this might be a lighter bike for you, you know? But if you're a sport bike rider, I've been a sport bike rider all my life, you know, plastic bikes, this is more on the heavier side. Now we're going to show you some get up and go. This bike is not known for its, you know, eye-bulging, jaw-dropping power. It's not known for that. It's not a super powerful bike. But for a new rider or a, you know, slightly advanced rider, average rider, commuter, watch. I'm obviously not giving it full throttle. I'm not even giving it half of what it's got, but it's good. And it does not strain for power. Now, I had a Ninja 250. I'm not putting the bike down. I love Kawasaki Ninja 250s. You never get tired of those Kawasaki Ninja 250s. I love them. But when I would ride on the freeway, it felt like it really was straining. You know, I mean, top speed on those things is like around 90 or so. So it strains. I think top speed on this is like 140, someone told me. Now, let's continue with the review. Seating position. Everyone always wants to know seating position. And what I've learned is there's basically three types of, look at this sign. It says click it or ticket. Sign doesn't apply to me. No seatbelt requirement for me. By the way, before we get into seating position, I want to tell you another great thing about getting a motorcycle. You see this lane in the left? This is known, as you guys probably know already, as the HOV lane. Out here in California, they call it the diamond lane or the carpool lane. But even though they call it that, what's really neat about this is if I'm riding long distances or whatever and I feel like getting into that lane, you're allowed to ride in that lane. So it's great, like in bumper-to-bumper traffic. I'll get in that lane in a moment when the double line's not there. When you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you can go right here into the HOV lane, and you have like your own lane. And I like it because it seems safer because you're not around all these vehicles swerving into each other, you know. All right, seating position. In my opinion, from what I've studied, and watch, we're going to go in the, let's call it the motorcycle lane for us. In my opinion, there's basically three seating positions. So look at my hand here on the left. Here's the seating position. One seating position is when you're facing this way and you're really raked over the motorcycle. A lot of motorcycles are like that, like the wonderful epic R6. You tend to be leaning over, you know, it's a racing bike, right? So you like that. Some bikes are like that. You're really raked over forward this way. Then there's other bikes where you're more slightly raked forward. And in my opinion, that's kind of the position you want to be in, because then you could have your cake and eat it too. If you ever want to tuck down like this, I'm like almost all the way below the windscreen here. It's just coming up to my nose, right? My teeth. Then you can tuck down. This bike is in that second position where you slightly leaned over. Remember I showed you the seat? What I can do is I can push with the pegs here, and I could push my rear end to the back of the seat because the seat is real long, right? And I could change positions on the fly. So it's great. And then of course you have seating positions like on the Kawasaki Ninja 250 or I believe the Ninja 600 also, where you're really like straight up. And I don't like that if I'm on the freeways. You don't want to be straight up sitting on the freeways unless you got this big honking windscreen blocking it. Now what we'll do is we're going to take down a couple of corners, on-ramp coming up over here, and we'll show you how it handles. I'll try to get as much speed as I can, but I have to create distance between me and the car in front of me when I do it so I can get speed. Otherwise I'll just take the corners slow. And one thing you'll notice if you're an expert motorcycle rider, you already know what counter steering is. This bike, you really feel the effect of counter steering because it's so heavy. It bites you around the corners. You really feel it. And what counter steering is, for you guys that haven't ridden yet, there's an on-ramp coming up here in about a minute, right? To the right. And it's going to curve to the right. What counter steering is where you basically turn your motorcycle handlebars the opposite way you want to go. So if I want to go to the right, this handlebar I'm going to push forward this way. This handlebar I'm going to pull back towards my rib cage. Okay? And you can tell the on-ramp's coming up because we're getting traffic. So what that does, when I pull this one back and push this one forward, let me show you. Watch how I do this right now, and it pushes me to the right side. Watch. See how it does that? Now, if I want to curve the motorcycle to the left, I pull back on this one and push forward here like this and so. So it's almost like you're skiing. See how I'm kind of going like this, moving left to right. You kind of do it by applying pressure on one handlebar or the other, and what you do is you kind of go around corners that way by keeping pressure on the handlebars. And here we go. Here comes our turn. Let's get some distance, okay? I want to pick up speed and show you. So I'm going to go right, okay? So I'm going to push forward on this handlebar ahead of me that way. I'm going to pull backward on this one. All right. All right, here we go. I'm trying to slow down so I can do it. All right, let's pick up throttle. What I'll do is I'm going to go from the outside corner to the inside. You want to cut a straight line, make it as straight as possible. Pushing forward here towards my rib cage, pushing ahead of me here. So watch. See how you just hold consistent pressure. But you can feel it if you're a motorcycle rider and you've ridden a lot of bikes. This one fights you. I mean, you could feel the pressure in the counter steering. Now, one of the things that's good too is notice I'm already up to speed, right? Well, if you pull the throttle back, for being a air-cooled bike and not having that much power and stuff, it's pretty good. So watch, we're going to pull the throttle back and we'll get in the other lane. See how it has pick up and go even on the freeways. Look at this cool car. That is so cool. So we're giving it throttle here. We're going to do one more counter steering up here. But I'm telling you, if you are going on a long distance ride, oh, this motorcycle is so epic. I get home or I get to work or wherever I'm going, friend's house, church, the store, whatever, and I'm not even tired. Even after long rides, my back isn't sore, or I'm not tired, my rear end's not all sore. Some of these bikes, like these racing bikes, the seat's so hard because it's designed that you slide around on the seat around the corner.
This is more like a bike for the real world, you know. Okay. All right, we got some counter steering here, and no one's in front of us. Woohoo! So what we're going to do is we're going to curve to the left here. This freeway's fast. I'm going to push forward ahead of me the way I'm going with this handlebar. I'm going to pull back towards my rib cage here. Here goes. See how you can like tuck down? I'm tucking down right here. So it's really a fun motorcycle, very comfortable. Take a look at the gauges. Fuel gauge over here on the right is a bit lower than when we first started. Tachometer, I'm at about 6,500 RPM. So I think you guys would really enjoy it. Now, if you're a, let's say you're a very thin or short rider, this bike may not be the bike for you because it's a heavy bike, you see. But if you're tall, or if you're a buff rider, or if you're a female, you're tall, or if you're like a heavier rider, but you can't be short, I don't think, to ride this bike. If you're a heavier rider, or if you're buff, like, you know, you work out at the gym, and or if you're tall, heavy, or buff, like you work out, you know, and stuff, then this is the bike for you. What's interesting is the bike does not have a temperature gauge where it shows you like your temperature. It's really interesting. So hey, thanks for watching this review. Before I go off, let's see what else I can tell you if I forgot anything. Every time I end the reviews, I'm like, oh, I should have said this. Well, the seating position, we talked about that, but your legs don't get cramped up at all. Notice the wind isn't really a factor. Let's see what else. What else can I tell you? Oh, mirrors. The mirrors are adequate. They're not bad, but they're not like great, but they're adequate. I can see I don't really have any blind spots per se. Some mirrors on motorcycles you can't see anything. Like you see a little tiny thing and it's hard to avoid other vehicles. Okay, let's see, thinking. Oh, I guess I should tell you about that. It's great on gas. You know, it's a 600. So I've ridden bikes that are thousands, and they munch through the gas a lot more. And 1,000's great on the freeways, but you really don't use all the power of 1,000. Even a 600 is fine. You don't really use, this is a 600, you don't really use 100% of the power of a 600. For example, let's say I'm going 65 right now and the top speed of this bike is 140. You're not really using a lot of, you're not using 100% of the power. Now when you look at the Ninja 250, you're almost using 100% of the power on the freeway. Because the thing tops out like around 90 or 100. So you're kind of at the top end on the Ninja 250. Let's see what else I can think about here that I haven't told you. Get over here, I'm getting bumped. Oh, this is a great bike to carry passengers on. When you see the start of the video, you'll look at the seat, you won't get any complaints from passengers on this motorcycle. Other motorcycles, the seat's real little and it's very uncomfortable for the passenger. This is a very comfortable passenger bike. So let's sum up what we talked about. Comfort, excellent. Power's adequate, even more than adequate. And with the rising gas prices, when haven't they risen? But with the rising gas prices, this is great. Aerodynamics is great. I don't see any sharp edges. Bearings are very smooth. Talk about fuel economy being great. Seating position is great. You could adjust your seating position even on the fly by tucking down and kind of like I'm relaxing on the tank right here. See, I have like a little tank bag. You just kind of relax. You could sit up straight if you want to. You can kind of sit up almost straight, you know, like when you want to stretch your back. But mostly it's like this, slightly lean forward, which is good. What else we talk about? You saw the power as we were getting over into like right now. Watch. See how we're already at speed, but now we're giving it throttle and it's still picking up. So it's a great motorcycle for the freeways because you have this power on tap. Let's see if we can get over here without the silver car hitting it. So you won't be like, dang it, I need more power, you know, this bike's too slow. You won't be like that. Let's see if we can see ourselves, the front of the motorcycle in the silver of this tanker here. I don't think we could see. I don't want to get that close. Now, we're going to end the video, but we got a very steep hill. A very steep hill. This is like the steepest hill out here that I've ridden on in California. And some motorcycles I've had, this hill is so steep I've had to shift down to 5th gear. It won't make it, you know, going up the hill. But this bike, heavy and all, and being a 600, not some major, massive, powerful motor, it'll go up without downshifting. So watch. Going up the hill here. This isn't even the steepest part, but this is pretty steep. Okay, watch, we're going to go down here, and then we go up the very steep one. Watch, you'll see how steep it is from, if I could poke my head over the Mustang here. Mustang must have heard what I said. You'll see how steep it is as we go over this little dip right here. Watch. Alright, let me show you the power again. We're getting up to that hill part. I like that this bike's a little bit loud, so when I'm kind of by the cars they can hear. You know, on the whole loud pipe thing, I think if you're next to someone kind of on the freeway, then it does help. But if you're just coming up behind them and flying by them, they don't even hear you. Okay, here's the steep hill. Very, very steep for a while. So here we go, approaching the hill. Notice we're in 6th gear. Not bad, huh? Not having to change gears. Now, of course, I had a running start. Who knows what would happen if I was like from a stop having to do it. Got a few turns up here, guys. We're gonna have a turn to the right and then another turn to the right. And then it opens up a bit and I'll get on it a bit. And then finally maybe we'll end the video. Appreciate you guys riding with me today on this beautiful Southern California weather. In this beautiful Southern California weather. It's gonna open up pretty soon. Okay, we got a corner coming up here. Let's see if I can go through here. We got a motorcycle guy here. Let's see if I can go through here. Catch up with the motorcycle guy, see what he's on. He's a cruiser style guy, like the Harley style. Hope this board sees me. Oh no, wait a minute. He's not a cruiser style guy. That's what I thought he was. He's on a sport bike too. He's going to get in this lane, right? I guarantee you he's going to get in his lane. He's looking in his mirror. Well, he's not getting in the lane. See what he's on. Alright, Yamaha. He says he's seen the camera. No, he saw the camera, he's like, I'm out of here then. He's like, what's that? Camera's on. I'll show you the camera in a moment in the mirror. Isn't that awesome? That's an epic bike. Give him some room. This guy was about to go in my lane, but then, no, he's going anyway. Here comes the Yamaha person. See him in the mirror. Oh yeah, look at my camera here. See it in front of my mouth. I gotta get over here. goes. Alright guys, appreciate you watching this video. And like we always say, remember, 4 wheels move the body. 2 wheels moves the soul. Get a motorcycle.